From Jamie's insanely sad reaction to Faith's death to finally getting an explanation for Dougal forcing Jamie's marriage, these are Outlander scenes that were sadly deleted. Starting with Jamie's heartbreaking reaction to his daughter's death. Outlander is probably the most versatile show out there, blending romance, drama, and intense violence. But let's be honest, the emotional side could use some work. Faith's death, for example, was a deep, heartbreaking scene that didn't nearly get the attention it deserved. But it turns out that they did record a scene which captured Jamie's rare emotional side. He expressed how Faith's death was harder to bear than all the floggings and torture he'd suffer in Wentworth Prison. He thought nothing could hurt more, but Faith's death is the most grueling thing that's happened yet. Now, if you haven't grabbed your tissues yet, I suggest you do, because the ending of this scene was just heart-wrenching. Jamie consoles Claire after their biggest loss together, saying that he gave her his body and soul until their life's end, and their journey is far from over. Now that was an Emmy-deserving scene, but it was still cut from the show. If only Ronald Moore had added what was Sam's best acting yet, the fans would have got just what they were missing in the show, and Hewins would have definitely got his well-deserved Emmy. But guys, Jamie has some real tough luck when it comes to his daughters, because he met his second daughter, Brianna, after 20 long years. Even though the show failed to portray the father-daughter bond that fans were craving, and they definitely didn't do the fans a favor by cutting the scene where Brianna asks her father for advice. So in season 5, Roger goes through some serious trauma after barely surviving his hanging. Now, fans who'd already read the books were well prepared for what was coming next. But seeing Roger suffer while his wife helplessly stood by was still difficult for them. The deleted scene would have eased their pain though, because it showed Brianna asking Jamie for advice on how to reconnect with Roger. I mean, it made perfect sense. Jamie had been through some pretty messed up stuff in the prison, thanks to that sadistic blackjack. And let's not forget that he'd been away from Claire for 20 whole years. On top of that, he was her own father. So in that situation, Brianna knew that her father was the only one who could help her. She was scared that the trauma would end her relationship with Roger and asked Jamie for advice. What Jamie said next might just be the best portrayal of a father's love for his daughter. He said that when two people love each other enough, nothing can tear them apart. Not pain, war, death, or even time. And the only bad thing about this scene is that it never made it to the screen. Well, Moore might have done a great job of sucking the emotion out of the show, but he also robbed the fans of their only chance to see Jamie's vulnerable side when he was praying for Claire's safety in the future. You heard that right. I know you guys are confused, and if you're a true Outlander fan, you'd know that it's not like Jamie to break his usual tough-as-nails character, because we know that Jamie is a protector and has vowed to shield everyone from harm. But he's so good at being the lone savior that we sometimes forget that he's just as vulnerable as any other man. And this deleted scene showed Jamie's different side perfectly. Jamie was seen lighting candles and praying to God to keep Claire safe. Now, we've always known that Jamie is a man of faith, but actually seeing him pray for the safety of his loved one gives us a small glimpse into his own worries and fears. Plus, many viewers wished to see TV's most unique couple thinking of each other across the centuries more. And this scene was filmed during the time when Claire had left Jamie and traveled back to the future. So it was also a sign that Jamie hadn't forgotten about his love and was still praying for her safety. But guys, Jamie and Claire's love isn't always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's just straight up funny. Cause in another deleted scene from season 5, the couple was shown bonding over mold. Yep, mold. Doesn't sound as romantic as flowers or candlelit dinners, right? But only this screen couple could turn something as random as mold into an adorable moment. Now, I know it still sounds confusing because what the hell is mold doing in Outlander? Well, we know that Claire had started to develop penicillin, but Jamie, being 2 centuries behind in the past, had no clue what was going on. And this would have given her the chance to fill him in. Jamie's disbelief when he learns that mold can actually save someone's life is pretty cute, to be honest. He tells Claire to grow all the mold she wants as he's seen caressing her face. Now, I get it, this scene might not have changed the entire course of the show, but seeing how Outlander is filled with dark moments, a scene like that would have brought a smile to the fans' faces if nothing else. But Outlander is definitely not all about love, even when it comes to our favorite couple. Remember when Jaime thought he had to punish his new bride for putting his clan in danger? Well, that was an interesting and awkward scene to watch. But I bet you can't guess in a million years who came to Claire's defense? Geillis Duncan. 'Cause in a deleted scene, Geillis was seen threatening Jaime. Now, if you've watched the show up to the 3rd season, you'd know that Geillis is like the ultimate villain. I mean, fans didn't mince words when it came to describing her, calling her a murderous psychopath. 'Cause she tortured the Fraser family just as much as Blackjack, Bonnet, and Lionel. But despite all that, she wasn't so bad in the 1st season. Some fans even considered her to be Claire's friend, since she was the only fellow time traveler that Claire met. But her friendly side didn't shine through, as fans had hoped in the 1st season. And if they'd only added this deleted footage to the show, the fans would have got to see a surprising side of Geillis, which would have made her switch to a villain even more interesting. Because Geillis confronts Jaime right after he beats Claire, warning him to never lay a hand on her again, or there'll be hell to pay. She even threatened to use her potions, which could cause him a lot of harm. Fans felt that the scene should have been left in the show because considering the savage character that Geillis turns into in the coming seasons, it would have been interesting to see her stick up for Claire. Talking about under-related relationship, Murtagh is right up there with Geillis. And while there was some bonding between him and Claire in the 1st season, this deleted scene would have taken their friendship to a whole new level, where Murtagh vows to protect Claire for life. Now, Murtagh and Claire were pretty much strangers in the books and were only shown as in-laws, which is so wrong, especially because Murtagh was Jaime's godfather, so there should have been some kind of connection between them. But the show actually has won over the books here, because not only did we get to see Murtagh rescue Claire from Blackjack, but their bond deepened into friendship as they went on a mission to save Jaime from the Redcoats. But the one thing that really brought them together was their shared love for Jaime. And in this scene, their deep grief over his supposed death. Murtagh is seen comforting a crying Claire, assuring her that Jaime is truly gone, but that doesn't mean she's alone, because he'll protect her for the rest of his life. If nothing else, at least it would have added a whole lot to Murtagh's emotional arc. That said, there's one last thing that more could have focused more on, because another scene that absolutely made no sense was Jaime and Claire's wedding. Especially the fact that Dougal was pushing Jaime to marry her, which left fans scratching their heads, but sadly this deleted scene could have put an end to fan theories by actually explaining Dougal's ulterior motives. Everyone knew that Dougal fancied Claire himself, but he was the only married guy in the Mackenzie clan. So why'd it specifically have to be Jaime? Why not make Claire's life miserable with Angus or Rupert? Well, this deleted scene answered all the questions, because it turns out that after Colum's death, Jaime was being considered as the next leader of the clan, and that didn't sit well with Dougal. So he had to do something to make his claim weaker, and what better way to do that than force him to marry a Sassenach, because the Scottish would never accept an English woman as their lady. But Claire ended up making her place in the clan and blowing Dougal's plans to dust. So, from finally getting an explanation for Dougal forcing Jaime's marriage to Jaime's insanely sad reaction to Faith's death, those were Outlander scenes that were sadly deleted.